So let me start by thanking the Pontifical Academy of Science, Casina, for Vatican City, through Machilo Sanchez Surando, who has organized this all-important summit of African women judges and prosecutors on human trafficking and organized crime, in collaboration with IAWJ. I also thank our very able, dynamic former president of IAWJ, Susanna Medina, for her efforts in ensuring that this summit becomes a successful one. Thanks also for the opportunity you have given me to address this esteemed gathering of legal luminaries on the bench. Human trafficking and the bar, very well. Human trafficking is a crime against humanity, as we all know, and one that infringes on the constitutional rights of various citizens of the countries across the globe, Nigeria being one of them, and that has this enshrined in our Constitution by sections 34 to 36 of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended. Human trafficking, whether for purposes of forced labor, prostitution, dismembering of human beings for various parts of the body, for whatever purpose, are heinous crimes and must be condemned roundly. In Nigeria, where I come from, there is the political will on the part of the federal government and the state government to fight these crimes. And I dare say that the eradication of these crimes will take some process over time and not one that can be achieved in a day or even in months, or one that can be described as a turn on the tap scenario. It is one that should be a continuous process until, if not eradicated completely, reduced to a minimal level. The perpetrators, just like drug dealers, are daredevils who can go to any length to fight back and do anything just to continue in the business, including corrupting the system to ensure that they stay in business. They can even kill in order to get their business going. There should therefore be concerted efforts on everybody to see that this is eradicated, if not brought to a bare minimum. Let me say that in Nigeria, issues concerning or cases concerning child trafficking is vested with the Federal High Court. I come from the State High Court, where incidentally, by the grace of God, I am the Chief Judge of Enugu State. So these cases go to the Federal High Court. For instance, what can be taken to State High Court is issues relating to prostitution. And in Enugu State, for instance, we have just one case on organizing foreign travel that promotes prostitution. Judgment is slated for the 14th of December, that is tomorrow. Then in the Federal High Court, Enugu State I'm referring to, we have about 5. Procurement for sexual exploitation and defilement. 6 of them, that is 6 cases. 2, procurement for sexual exploitation and prostitution. 2, 3, selling of human beings. 1, 4, child labor, that is alms begging. 1, 5, harboring a child under 12 years as a domestic worker. 1. As I said, most of these cases are before the Federal High Court. But then, judging from the number of cases, they are not many when you compare them with the prevalence of the crime and the offenses. And this, of course, relates to the apathy that we usually notice on the part of the victims and on the part of the family members. One who may, because of stigmatization, may not want to go and report such crimes to the law enforcement agencies. To even when they report, I did when I was contributing yesterday, I talked about the prosecutors not being people who are trained in law, and they are prosecuting that matter or those matters for the state, while the lawyers are on the other side defending. And most of the time, not only that the investigation were not carried out properly, they are not liars, as I said, and how to navigate the case to get a conviction most of the time are very, very difficult. Now, human trafficking, as we said, is a crime, whether it is for purpose of forced labor, prostitution, and all that. There should therefore be concerted efforts by the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary in the fight against these offenses. That doesn't lie only on getting good legislation. Getting good legislation has always not been the problem. The problem has always been on, one, whether there is political will to enforce such laws, even when, as judicial officers, you adjudicate over matters and hand down your judgment. Problem of enforcement will always crop up. And I said the judiciary in its adjudicatory functions, particularly as it relates to these crimes, and we, the female judges and magistrates, should be more proactive through our judgments and our decisions, and ensuring that in appropriate cases where the offense charge is proved, to hand down judgments that will ensure that the offenders are adequately punished and that the victims are compensated and restored. There is also the need by the executive to create awareness that the people require, because part of our problem emanates from ignorance. There is a TV, call it advert, that they will usually play just before 9 o'clock news. 9 o'clock news in Nigeria is the national news. So if you tune into NTA, you will see one young girl that will come up and will say, I beg you, even if you are suffering in Nigeria, don't go to, and the way she will pronounce it, don't go to Italy, because if you go to Italy, you will not get what you want there. You'll be promised heaven and earth, and you will not get anything. Rather, you will be turned into a prostitute. So, if we create awareness, both in the radio, both in the print media, and in the televisions, to tell people and families who are gullible that you don't just go abroad and you see jobs, that your children rather are taken into prostitution, they are taken into slavery when they are taken to farms to go and work without adequate payment. Let me say that I must in total associate myself with the sentiments as expressed by my sister of the Court of Appeal, who had rolled out problems that are associated with poverty that has led to this nagging problem of child trafficking, prostitution, and all that. Most of these young children are taken out under the guise that they are going to be trained or given a trade, only for them, by the time it is time to now empower them and give them whatever they have agreed on, one thing will be raked up. Either they are pushed in prison or they are not given anything at all. And the conception when you have your child abroad, is that, you've made it. Your child is in London. Your child is in US. You thought the person is doing certain good jobs, not knowing that the person hasn't even seen any menial job to do. Maybe the person is just loitering about, sleeping under the bridge. So when you repatriate them, the problem of coming home, because when you come home, you look at the person will not give you the impression of somebody who has made it in life or somebody who is comfortable. Rather, you will see somebody who has rather gone down. Therefore, the person ends up in Lagos or any of the big cities sleeping under the bridge because he wouldn't want to come home, because when the person comes home, it will be seen that that job promised wasn't given. I want to thank you for this opportunity. And will say that, again, I congratulate each and every one of us for bringing out these problems to the fore. And it is when it is spoken, when we talk about it, then the people that can help us can now help us. The Pope, we believe, even when talking to the congregation, and if you see how respected the Pope is in Africa, both for those who are Christians and those who are non-Christians, because he's touching lives. So when they speak to us and speak to the people in authority, then they will now see the plight of Africans who are suffering, who are poor, and who should be helped. I want to thank you for this opportunity.